Alright, so I don't usually do videos like this. I don't know, maybe if this one does okay, like 10 views or 5 views or something, then I'll do another one. But I'm like, I wanted to show like my real-time transcription process, and especially because like I've been jazzing it up for like 6 years now, probably, and 5, 6 years. No, yeah, probably like 6 or the number after that. For a while, and I'm not like I know I'm pretty like, yeah, I'm just gonna say I haven't practiced as much as I should have, in the past, and I've been finding time in the past year, locking in a little bit, and I've always like transcribed lines and stuff, and like maybe a chorus here and in the next year, every very once in a while. It's always like a very let me turn this up a little bit. It's always like a very small amount that I'm transcribing at a time. I've never actually consciously like transcribed something either, meaning like attaching it to like maybe the structure of the like tune, or like how it works with the changes or whatever terminology you want to attach to that. And in this past while, I've kind of faced a lot of like, I don't have a script for this either, so this kind of like off the dome, but I faced a lot of like blocks in my playing and in like my own progression, in a way that like it kind of is demotivating at times, but like you kind of have to just kind of push through those, and like once you get something, you kind of get the high from it. That's what keeps me playing, to be honest. And I feel like I don't really see a lot of stuff, especially because like the jazz community is kind of like, it's not small by any means. No, it's not small, but there's not a lot of like raw content, I guess. And I'm like a like middle to like intermediate, player. Like I'm okay. I'm nothing like special or out of the ordinary. Just someone who's been with a horn for a certain X amount of time. Like even if you don't practice 16 hours a day, like you're gonna, be be able to stumble your way around and fake stuff. I'd say that's kind of where I'm at for sure. And I've heard enough music and jazz and whatever to like be able to kind of put stuff together in a way that makes sense to me and like can make sense to, I'd say, most people. The only thing is I'm not fluent, and that's my ultimate goal. It's not to be impressive or be able to play all this fast shit or be able to have the greatest tone on the planet Earth. It's just like I want to be fluent, and I want what's up here to just come out, because that's the best feeling. Like even if it's not something that gets a rise out of your bandmates, or like that's like gets a face or whatever, or something from the crowd, it's like you heard it up here and you can play. And recently I found a lot of transcribing and like ear training helps me with that, because I will say about like 6 months ago, like I started really dialing in. I've been conscious about it. I started really dialing in on like actually listening to stuff. I did have an injury, so I wasn't able to play for a while. But like really dialing in on like listening to stuff rather than just trying to skip right to playing it, or having that little bit of discipline. And it really does help, like especially like when you become more conscious of it. And like I made an investment. You could say that it's an investment, like I guess. But all this stuff around me and like all the conscious listening has really helped me like kind of build like some sort of like tonal center to draw from, like when I hear stuff. And so I'm not completely tone deaf, because a while ago, and I'd argue for the whole time, well, I'm like 19 now. I'm like freshly 19. And I'm like, I've been playing this horn for actually over half my life. And, it's just like, I've been literally tone deaf, and I haven't, for some reason, like I've just never been able to hear shit well. I've always been so horrible at transcribing. I've always been, very bad at telling if I'm out of tune or not. And just in this like past couple months of like conscious like practicing and listening to any sorts of music, whether it's like whatever genre, like just really listening to it, it's like it develops something. And like I don't have perfect pitch by any means, but like I've definitely found it easier. Like especially singing helps a lot too. Like practicing singing and whatnot, all that stuff together, like mixed together, really blends and like creates, like I said, like kind of your own like tonal center, tuner, whatever you want to call it, that resides like in yourself. Anyways, I'm not gonna keep yapping, but this is like my real time, transcription. process. I'm not gonna go into like this isn't a tune that everyone knows this tune, okay? Like whether you can play it or not at whatever speed. Everyone knows it. It's a really classic tune. I love it. I've always loved it since the first second I heard it. Like I've just been obsessed with it since day one. I know the solo like pretty well, like pitch wise, you know. Like I can sing it back with the recording and a little bit without. I don't know like the back of my hand. But I know it like really well. I'd say. Up until today, when I was actually like, hey, you know what? I should actually try and tackle this tune instead of just listening to it and like playing one lick from it. Like it's okay. Like that was really dirty because I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I've never played on camera, so I was a little distracted. But it's Cherokee, and I finally wrote out the changes and everything. Is that gonna read? Oh my god, it does. I thought it was gonna be backwards. Yeah, I finally wrote out the changes in my key. Oh, and by the way, like, oh yeah, it's mixed up. Like I understand this, so that's all that matters, I guess. I'll see if I can like put a PDF of it up or something. But yeah, so I kind of just went into like a backing track from like a, you know, and put this on. This might not be entirely accurate, but like it's pretty much the guidelines, I think. And so I was kind of at a point where I was getting a little stuck, and I was like, I'm not sure what to do here because the way that I learned, especially, you know, because I had a private instructor for a while, and the way that I learned to approach it, you know, was like kind of, you know, write down the chords, arpeggiate through all of them, and like kind of try and identify like movement, meaning like, you know, 2-5-1, all that stuff, or like when you can stay in like a scale or something. But that can only take you so far, and like it kind of limits your, you know, you have to think outside of that if you want to get past that. So I was like, I'm really having a block, and I was like, why don't I like actually try and transcribe Cherokee? Like that'd literally be perfect because it's like such an essential solo, and like, let me see if I can. Well, that's great. I just like recorded the whole segment without audio, so I have to do it again. So yeah, I was saying like, I think like. So my main process, here's what I'm going to show. I have no idea where I left off. I'm so like, I don't have a script or anything. I don't usually do this. So my process, the way I usually do it is like, I'll listen to the recording, you know, I'll pull it up. And in this instance, like YouTube has a good feature where you can slow and speed it up and stuff. And of course I already know this solo. If I didn't know the solo, I'd go through and I'd listen to it, you know, I'd actually take like a week to listen to it before I even start doing anything on my horn, you know, obviously still practicing. But like, me personally, I just like to take a really like thorough route when I do stuff. That goes for everything. But especially with this because like I like to listen to stuff a lot and then get it in my ear and be like, okay, you know, this is what's going on. And then when it's actually time, like a couple days later, I sit down and I sing along. You know, I learn the head, whatever. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't get copyrighted. That would be actually horrible. Of course, I already know the head. So there we go. There's like one phrase. Hold on. I'm switching between the two. So let's listen to that again. Like. Excuse my singing voice. I'm not a very good singer. But like the point is just to have the pitches in your ear. Okay, this light is gonna bother me. I'm gonna sit right here. The point is just to get the pitches in your ear. You're not supposed to sound beautiful or anything, you know. So I'm gonna listen to it again. I don't really have. I'm just gonna slow it down for the sake of the like the video. Okay. And then from there, like once you get the first like phrase, like it's pretty intuitive and like it wouldn't be super hard to, you know. And I know the solo already, so not like transcribe, but. So like me listening to that You know, it's like, it sounds cool, like whatever, like sounds really dope. But if you're not consciously doing it, you're just like, oh, that's so cool. He does like a little da 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 da. But if you're like consciously doing it, you're like, wait, you know, you might think of like, what does it sound like backwards, for instance, you know? So the first one, just a G major 7. What is that, like a... What, that's like a... I don't know, like fully diminished or half diminished or something. F sharp. It's like, you just notice little things like that, and it's like, you could just kind of keep it like in the back of your, you know, whatever. So then eventually, you know, when you're looking at all this science on this fucking paper, for me it's science, you know, it's like, wait, and then you're writing it down, you're going through and you're playing through it, and you're like, wait, I remember that one lick, hold on, it goes here or fits here, and then that'll transfer through all your playing on every tune ever going forward if you obviously stay consistent and keep practicing. So there's like a big difference between like conscious transcribing and just like transcribing, and that's taken me embarrassingly long to realize. Yeah. So if I'm gonna go back, if I'm gonna go back. So da 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 da. That's like what the next part goes like. Okay, see? Simple. It's not simple at all. This is a very complex like solo and stuff. But as you can see in this, hold on. This is like, I always read through the comments and stuff, and like, this one's funny. This track should have been included on the disc that NASA sent into space years ago to showcase human achievements to other civilizations. I thought that was like accurate as hell. But yeah, so you just listen, like, you know, for this is, I have to clarify, like, this video is like for people who like are kind of in my position, like, or anyone, I guess, whoever wants to take in this information. But like, it was really useful for me to like come across this like kind of like sort of epiphany, especially a couple months ago, to realize like, hey, like if you're actually thinking, and you, because I'm like an ADHD zombie, bro. Like I guess that's a contradictory statement, like in itself, ADHD zombie. But so, you know, you don't, like, for me, like I don't ever use my brain, and so it was useful, you know, to realize that, and I think that could help, you know, someone else out there who's like kind of struggling or like wanting to, you know, kind of develop their playing and is like at an intermediate place, but is also in a weird like limbo where they're like whatever you would like label as good or whatever, you know, and also like, hey, like if a tune got called at like a jam session or a gig, like I'd fall in shit on my face, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I was like a little rant, but yeah. Also, I don't know how the audio is gonna sound with the sax and stuff. Like, let's see. Let's do another little part. Let's do another part. So, something like that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so, you know, I could keep going, whatever, but it's really just a process, and like you have to learn to be okay with that kind of thing, especially if you're like struggling through it. I will say, like, I'm not where I'd like to be, and I feel like if I was, you know, practicing as much as I quote unquote should have been, like, or as much as I wanted to have, like, I didn't, you know. Ultimately, I didn't, and like, I'm now realizing this, but I'm glad it's now and not next year or like in a month, you know, because at least I've been able to process it, you know. That's the most important thing. Anyways, I'm gonna stop fucking yapping, and that'll be the end of that. And I hope I was helpful to someone, if anyone even sees this. But yeah, all right.